Museum. We're streaming live out of Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. This is Hoboken Talks. Welcome. We're on Thursday nights at 7 to 8. We talk about Hoboken. Past shows have included Danny Schott, Jack Silbert, and Karen Cools. Hi, I'm Bill Curran, the Museum Associate here, and I'm interviewing tonight our special guest, Liz Cohen Ndoye. Please feel free to chat with us in the comments section, and we'll respond as best as possible. We consider YouTube our home base, so if you miss any of our Hoboken talks, I'm going to move on a little, or want to look at some other shows we have done, please YouTube is the place to look. Liz Cohen, welcome so much. Let me introduce you. I did a little research, and of course we've been neighbors for a long time.
Very long time, Bill Curran.
You're an artist.
I am indeed.
Teacher extraordinaire.
Thank you. Teaching is one of my favorite art forms.
Educator.
Yes. Still.
Watercolorist.
Yes. Love watercolors.
Oil painter.
Yes, although less of that.
Doll maker.
Yes. And
so much more. Welcome, Liz.
Thank you for having me. It is an honor to be here tonight with you and in the Hoboken Historical Museum. Thank you very much. I'm thrilled.
Thank you. We've got a comment already. Yeah. Love the background image. Thank you, Melissa Abernathy. Would you like to tell our audience what actually is that background?
I would love to, and I think we're going to look at the entire image later on in the slideshow, but this is a drawing that I did during the pandemic. I was unable to visit my studio during COVID-19 because, interestingly enough, even though I have my own space that has walls and a door, the walls don't go all the way up to the ceiling. So I never felt that it was safe enough to be there. I kept thinking, well, if someone coughs in the cubicle next to me, and there are many studios in the space where I work, my studio's at Manna Contemporary in Jersey City, I thought, well, I could easily catch COVID in that kind of situation. So because I couldn't work in my studio, I was kind of constricted to doing smaller pieces. And that was fine because one of my favorite things to do is drawing. And I did many drawings over the last year and a half while I was forced to stay at home.
Talking about home, Liz, why is it that, how did Hoboken become your home?
That's an interesting story.
We've got an hour.
Okay. Where to start? Let's see. I was living in Australia for many years. I went to Australia in the late 70s to teach. And I was one of the first plane load of elementary teachers to go from the United States to Australia. And I lived there for 7 years. Mm-hmm. I came back to the United States on holiday, not to stay, not to return, but just to see my family, whom I hadn't seen in 10 years, and to just do a little bit of catching up, sightseeing, etc. I landed in New York, stopped in to see my family, immediately went to MoMA, and said to myself, why did I ever leave? And kind of the rest is history. I found a job teaching in Union, New Jersey. I met my first husband, Donald Cohen, and that's another long story. And he was here living in Hoboken and had this incredible house on Garden Street. And we fell in love, and I moved in.
And you're still there.
And I'm still there. That was way, 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 way back in 1979. Long, long time ago.
Liz, thinking back to then to now, how has Hoboken changed the most for you or through your own eyes?
Way back in the 70s, Hoboken was way less populated. The population was very different. It was, for me, way more diverse. But primarily, the major population was still Italian and German immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
There was still a large population of dock workers and stevedores. On my block where I live now, a lot of the buildings were filled with people who lived in single-room occupancy situations, but there were also young families who had just bought rather decrepit buildings that they were renovating. And I have to credit Donald Cohen with a lot of foresight. He walked the streets of Hoboken for many, many months, and he chose our block because he realized that there were new young people coming in who had a vision for Hoboken. And I guess that twigged for him. He related to these people, and he wanted to be part of that renovation, that rejuvenation that Hoboken was going through, the Renaissance of Hoboken. Hey, Jack. Yep. And guess what, Jack? My basement flooded today. Here we are, still flooding. We just got a comment from Jack Silber. Yeah, I will never forget those dark days after Sandy, Jack, and it was great fun, though, being able to volunteer with you after Sandy hit. That really helped me get through those dark times. I met wonderful people like Jack.
So did I. I want to thank, first of all, again, for coming out on an evening like this. We didn't know if we were going to go get you in a boat or something.
Right. It was, I knew early on that this was going to be a bad storm. Do we know if tonight was actually Elsa, or was it just a really bad storm and Elsa's going to hit tomorrow?
Wow.
Who knows?
Who knows is right. Let me see here. You talked about doing art during the COVID lockdown. I know in 2000 you started Hobart. Do you want to talk a little bit about that experience?
Yes. Actually, it was 2001, I believe, that I started Hobart. And the genesis of that was that I had joined a cooperative gallery in Manhattan that I still belong to. It's called Sierra's Gallery. It's a feminist gallery on West 27th Street. And it occurred to me that we could have our own cooperative gallery here in Hoboken. I knew that Hoboken, even back then, was starting to lose its artist community. Rents were going up in Hoboken. It was becoming increasingly expensive to live in Hoboken, and I wanted to stop the hemorrhaging of artists from Hoboken. So I talked to Jerry Fallow, who is the art head of the, what is her
you see that
title? Yes.
Wonderful comment from Ibu Art. I am glad you are talking about your favorite subject, Ibu. Jerry?
No, he signed Ibu. I'm talking, probably he means I'm talking about my favorite subject, flooding in Hoboken. Thank you for making me laugh, Ibu. But anyway, she is the Director of Cultural Affairs in Hoboken. That's her official title. I called Jerry Fallow. I said, Jerry, do you have a list of all the artists in Hoboken? She gave me the Hudson County Arts Directory, and I proceeded to call every artist in the book. We had a meeting in Hoboken City Hall, and that was the beginning. We started our own cooperative gallery. We named it Hobart, which stands for Hoboken Artists. And for 10 years, we tried to find our own gallery space, which we did find at the Monroe Center.
Mm-hmm.
And we operated a gallery there for 8 years quite successfully. Unfortunately, we did lose that space, but I do stay in touch with the artists in Hobart. So
you've had many members. I
Yes.
believe I was a member for a short
Bill,
period.
you were a member for a while. I'm proud to say.
Thank
And we had terrific shows. I think we have some pictures in the slideshow. At least one picture of an exhibition.
Would you like to
at
go to the
Hobart.
slides now?
Would be lovely.
Let's take a look at
Hi,
what
Jane and Margot. Thank you for coming. And Jean-Paul, I think you had a comment earlier. Thank you for watching. This is a great slide. This is me, obviously, with my new husband, Elizabeth Ndoye, and our current mayor, Ravi Bala. This was a wonderful occasion. This was our first arts gala on the Hoboken waterfront, at which Mayor Bala made the terrific announcement that Hoboken was going to use money. I am forgetting, forgive me everyone, because I'm getting up there in years now, but something having to do with funds that the city acquires. I forget how we get the money. And that money is being directed for public art. So I now sit on the Hoboken Arts Advisory Board, and we are looking for people to do murals. We just put out a call for artists for 2 murals, one at the Thomas Olivieri Park and the other at Church Square Park.
Mm-hmm.
And we're also about to begin a call for artists for a public sculpture in the Northwest Resiliency Park. So it's a pretty exciting thing. And kudos to Mayor Bala. He has been very supportive of the arts right from the beginning of his administration.
Wonderful. Did you make that colorful dress? You like fabric?
I did not. I am really grateful to Ibu's sister-in-law. She is a seamstress, as is his mother. The shirt that Ibu is wearing was made by his mother.
Jane, thank you.
Hi, Jane.
It is. Next slide, please.
So this is at Hobart Gallery.
Yes.
And this was, I believe, one of Ibu's shows. And I am with my young cousin, Gregory. Yes, this was actually the final show we had at Hobart Cooperative Gallery. And we allowed Ibu to have the final show. It was his solo show. I think he was up for his solo show. And this is at St. Matthew's Trinity at the Lunchtime Ministry, where I teach art every Tuesday morning for my artists in transition. Unfortunately, that's been put on hold because of COVID, but we're hoping to start up again in September.
Are the classes also at the library on hold, but through Zoom?
They're going to start again on September, but yes, you can attend on Zoom, and they are every Wednesday morning from 10 to 12 p.m., and they are free for everyone. Hey, Robin, thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Being an artist myself, I must say, Liz gives a good art class. You want to get better as an artist? Go to her art classes. 2 thumbs up.
Coming from Bill, That's an incredible compliment because I know Bill is a terrific art teacher too, as well as a very gifted artist.
Well, thank you. You make us think about things we don't think, how to think differently, how to create differently, do contour drawings, draw with one eye, with one hand. It's been very inspiring, Liz.
Well, thank you. I do really, really, really love teaching. I do think of it as one of my personal art forms. And I think art is for everyone. We all have our own personal style. We just need someone to encourage us to express ourselves. And that's my job. Oh, thanks, Heather. Another one of my terrific art students. Oh, thank you, Margot.
Margot is saying, would you like to read that?
Well, Margot, thank you very much, has said, I have a special gift for would-be artists, and we love her. Thank you, Margot. I love you. You do beautiful art.
Was that her little pencil character in the corner?
I think it was.
Beautiful.
She does terrific work.
Was this the recent Saturday art fair?
I'm not sure which one this was. This looks like an older picture. I think this was probably one of the art studio tours way back before COVID. The art walks, we had display units out in the front gate and all the artworks in the front gate. So I think this was one of the art tours. Oh, hi, Teresa.
You're very popular. All the public outreach programs that Liz has offered Hobokenites are wonderful and much appreciated. Very true.
Thank you, Teresa.
Very true.
Thank you, Bill.
Very true.
Well, I believe art will change the world. And one of my big things that I've been working for ever since I've lived in Hoboken is to have community art space, particularly for the people I call artists in transition. We do have a growing population of people who are living on the street. And I have been working with them and teaching them art. And I believe if they had a space that they could come to where they could do creative, meaningful work, they would come in off the street whenever they wanted. So if anybody hears of space that's available, please, please, please let me know. This looks like from a group show. This, Ibu and I had a two-person show, and this, oh, actually, no. This is in our studio in the back of our house, and this is from one of the Hoboken open studio tours. So it's our work blended together. In fact, the piece on the right side, it's our right side, I'm not sure when folks are viewing the screen, but it's a piece that we worked on together. And then the larger piece on fabric is one of mine. And then the one in the middle with all the small fabric pieces is mine. But you can't see. There's some of Ibu's pieces on the left, but they're not visible at the moment. So Ibu is also an artist, painter. Brilliant. Genius artist. How do you live with a genius, another artist in a home? How do you do that? I'm not sure I can verbalize that. We have a very, very similar aesthetic. In fact, frequently people think my work is his and his work is mine. And I think we're just very respectful of each other's space. There are moments when the line between home and workspace gets overstepped, and I think I usually become the bad cop at that point. But we negotiate. Beautiful. And interestingly enough, we're different culturally, racially, religion, age, language. but we communicate very well, luckily.
And art does.
So it works. It works. And I think I understand. He has an exceptional need to work.
Mm.
Doing his art is the most important thing to him. And I get that. And that's why it all works. And here he is. So we were teaching a class at the Hoboken Public Library in their beautiful renovated space in the basement. And Ibu was the teacher. I was his assistant in this class. We were doing the West African tradition of reverse glass painting. And these ladies were all friends, and they had such a good time in this class. And they begged us to take a picture together. This was a New Year's Eve party that we went to. I just love this picture.
Wow.
Thank you for including it in the slideshow.
Beautiful.
Again, this young woman was just a very outgoing, strong, engaging person, and I loved her piece.
It looks like she's mixed a figure with some kind of abstract background.
She was very bold and courageous, and she took big risks. So she did some terrific work.
Who's that?
That's me.
That's at the library.
That's at the library in the room where we had our classes.
Yes.
And we will return there in September.
Wonderful.
And that was a great picture. I don't know if you remembered, Teresa was the knitter in our group, and she made me that beautiful hat.
Wow.
Love the colors of that hat. So Ibu was asked to be in the first diversity fair at Hoboken High School.
Wow.
And that is his work, the reverse glass painting, the small pieces that he creates. Those are all glass plates, glass tiles, and glass jars.
Is that like a mayonnaise, tahini? I don't use mayonnaise. Tahini jar.
Pasta sauce.
You just paint on the outside of the inside.
All the work's done on the inside, or with the glass plates, it's all done on the back. They're beautiful pieces. Aha. Well, I'm not allowed to talk about this one, right? You warned me, no politics.
Well, keeping it light.
So here I am with my beloved sister, who is one of my best friends on earth, my sister Johanna. And she came all the way from California to go with me on the first Women's March. Way back. What year was that? 2016? No. Yeah.
You want to Google that?
Yeah. Way back, I think 2016. And I'm proud to say, with many people's help, Jerry Fallow included, we took from Hoboken 4 buses filled with people to this march. It was an amazing event.
Fantastic.
Amazing event.
She looks a little like you.
We are frequently confused with each other, but she's the brains in the family. She's an attorney. She's an environmental lawyer. She was one of the founders of Natural Resources Defense Council. I'm immensely proud of all the work she's done to help the environment. Yep.
She's the sister you had the little first incidents with Hazel?
Yes.
Do you want to explain that?
Sure. Hazel is my personal muse. She's my childhood doll. Those of you out there listening who are my students, you know all about Hazel. But Hazel has been with us many, many years. Hazel is probably close to 80 years old.
Wow.
My sister just turned 80. And my sister and I loved Hazel so much that we always fought over her. And one day my mother gave me another doll, kind of like a Betsy Wetsy doll. You probably don't know what that is, Bill, but Betsy Wetsy was a very popular doll when I was very young. And my sister decided she wanted that Betsy Wetsy doll. And I said, well, if you give me Hazel, you could have my Betsy Wetsy. And she gave me Hazel. But the rivalry or the need for Hazel continues. And when my sister comes to visit me, Hazel disappears. And when I go to visit my sister, Hazel comes back. But Hazel's been with me for quite a while now, I'm happy to say. But I draw Hazel, I paint Hazel, and I've started making dolls because of Hazel. And a lot of my artwork is about dolls because of Hazel. She is literally my muse.
When Hazel revealed herself to you as a child, what was it that, like flowers do that to me, what was it that was speaking to you through Hazel the doll?
I don't know. She's just
The innocent
incredibly
girl?
lovable. Yeah, she's very soft and pliable and huggable and
joyful.
Yes, and I mean, you've probably had toys that were special to you, that you told your secrets to, that you knew you could get solace from when you were unhappy. Oh, how wonderful.
Margot writes in, funnily enough, my favorite nephew just had a baby and named her
Hazel.
Oh.
I love that baby. But yeah, Hazel, her full name is Hazel Schmazel. Oh, this is a great picture. This is at the Monroe Center.
Who is that gentleman?
That gentleman is my son, Jake Cohen.
That's your son? Oh my goodness. Is he a
My
painter
son.
too?
He's a terrific artist.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrific artist. That was the occasion of my retirement party at Hobart Gallery.
You look fantastic.
Well, that's 5 years ago.
Fantastic.
Seems like a lifetime ago.
Ha!
And here we are again at LTM, Lunchtime Ministry at A Street, with Spike Ensweiler, who runs the place, and two volunteers, Maria and, blocking that lady's name, I believe it's Kate. Sorry that I don't remember her name.
It's making me hungry. And where is this? Oh, look at the portraits.
This is at Sarah's Gallery. I included this because the beautiful woman on the left with the red hat is the great Faith Ringgold.
Wow.
And the woman in the middle used to be a member of Hobart Cooperative Gallery. Her name is Pauline Chernikov, and she's a friend of Faith Ringgold.
Wow.
And she frequently brings her to openings at Sarah's Gallery.
Are those your portraits, Liz?
No, this was not my show. I was actually gallery sitting that day.
I see.
And I think that Pauline knew the woman who was showing, and she wanted Faith to see this show.
Liz, I know you do dolls and abstraction and what we're looking at, but have you ever set up an easel outside and done a Hoboken scene plein air?
I have not. That is not something that I have done.
Would you like to? I'll give you a lesson, a free lesson.
It's a deal.
What time?
We can swap lessons.
You've given me a lot of.
I have given. We've done landscape work outside.
Yes.
In my classes, which have been great fun, but it's not something have I ever done it myself? I have to think about that. I know I've taken photographs on the waterfront, and in my show here, I had Hazel in pictures on the waterfront that I drew and painted on. But I have not actually sat outside and done a painting or drawing outside. So it's a deal. Let's shake. Want me to talk about this piece?
Please.
So this is one of my pandemic drawings. And I love to draw in Uniball pen. It's my favorite drawing tool. And there are different types of dolls. Now, I not only make dolls and draw and paint about dolls, but but they have their own culture and their own religion and rules and societal norms. And the white figure in the very middle in the egg shape, she's kind of voluptuous with the long, thin neck and really no legs. She's the goddess figure. And I draw her over and over and over again. It's too bad there's no way I can actually point at it to show people.
Oh.
No, I don't think that's visible.
Oh.
Oh, there you go. Thank you, Rand. See where the cursor is, everybody. That's the goddess figure. And then the kind of kidney-shaped forms and the circular forms with the X's in them are part of the letters in the doll language. And they are derived from different stitches and different things about sewing, because I love to sew. And because of that, sewing and fabric and threads are very important in the doll culture. So threads are almost like the gold. They have monetary value in doll culture. And I frequently put these shapes in. They actually are words. I'm not sure what this says, though. I need to have my codex with me. And I like to do cross-hatching and dots. And that comes from the fact that I lived in Australia, and I'm in love with Australian Aboriginal art. And the art of the Northern Territory Aboriginal people is all about that cross-hatching and the tiny dots. So that kind of explains what I do with my drawings. This piece is called Dot Goddess for obvious reasons. This one is acrylic. And I love these earth tones. I like ochres, again, because of the Aboriginal art that I looked at and saw. I was lucky enough to actually see people making paintings on bark.
Is that on paper and it's strictly paint?
This one is on canvas. It's acrylic on canvas.
They almost look like they're pearls.
Yeah.
With some kind of bean filling this inner circle.
I'm very much in love with form, so I frequently create shadow, as much shadow as possible to make things look 3D. So that's probably why you're getting the sense that they're almost like beads or pearls. Oh, thank you, Suzanne.
Susan says, love that piece.
Thank you. It's for sale.
Did you hear that, everybody? What's your website?
Sale. Oh, my website is www.lizndoyeart.com.
Did you get that, everybody? This is
Can we put that in the chat box, Rand? Is that allowed?
I think so. This looks like a beautiful scarf from the Metropolitan. What is that?
So this is an acrylic on canvas. I had a solo show at Fairleigh Dickinson University a couple of years ago, and this again is all about the doll culture.
Beautiful.
And the angular doll at the bottom with multiple heads is one of my guardian dolls. And you see a conch shell on the bottom right. I love conch shells. And then on the left is the kind of figure I think of as the regular doll person.
The top left.
Yeah, the kind of more humanoid shaped figure. Again, I'm using the earth tones because of the Aboriginal influence.
Beautiful.
The colors are a little distorted in some of these pictures. It's a little more yellow and orange than the actual piece.
Liz, in the bottom little section of it looks like something is maybe trying to be spelt out, but maybe it's just a shape.
It's a word. It says art in doll language.
Oh. Looks like OWY. Interesting.
It actually says ART in the doll alphabet.
So they have their own alphabet.
Their own alphabet. It's based on English alphabet because I'm not a linguist and I really have no other way of doing it. I would love to work with a linguist to create a whole new language with its own phonemes, but I don't have the kind of brain that can do that. I've thought about it a lot over the years, but I haven't figured that one out yet. Again, this is about the dog culture. Yeah. I love spirals, so you frequently see spirals in my work. You can see the goddess again
down there,
and the guardian figure. I do so love the egg shape. So you'll frequently see ovals.
You have a series of those going on. That's acrylic too on canvas?
This is acrylic, yes. I love this piece. So the red ochre background is probably my favorite color on earth. The red mud of Australia. This is also acrylic on canvas. This is quite large, this piece. The cross-hatching, the dot work. Really like this one.
When you say large, you mean 36 by 24?
Yeah, I think it's something around that size. This piece I've been working on for a very long time. So this is a uniball drawing. It's on paper. This one is over at Mana. And I think it's finally finished. It's one of my favorites. And for my next solo show, which is coming up in February 2022 at Sarah's Gallery, 547 West 27th Street, I'm going to have multiple large drawings like this because that's really what's been giving me the most pleasure during the pandemic. But this one is really huge. I'd say it's maybe 10 feet tall by maybe 5 feet wide.
Liz, I read up on some of your former shows here, and you said something about art can be very healing during times of grief or stressful times. Could you expand on that a little? Or maybe you're saying you find drawing now more pleasurable than ever before.
Right. I think for me, drawing is probably the most meditative process that I do. Many people actually meditate. They practice Zen meditation. But for me, the most calming, reflective activity that I do is drawing. And the more intricate, the more complicated the drawing I'm working on, the more relaxed I become. And the more at peace I become. And so in times of stress or sadness, I often turn to drawing. And I have found it incredibly helpful during COVID. I recommend it to everyone. And I've said that. Students out there, I've said that many, many times. And it's not something unique to me. I think many artists
Mm-hmm.
find that kind of soothing quality in the act of drawing.
Yes.
Sewing also does that for me. Stitching, weaving, knitting, all those kinds of repetitive
Kind of
activities, right?
You're focusing in the moment.
They're very, very focused. I am not a religious person, but you probably have felt this. There are moments in the act of creation where things happen that you're not even in control, and you start wondering where did that come from? And for me, that's the closest to believing in the existence of God that I've ever come. The meditative state is so deep, and the connection to otherness is so wonderful. And you forget your physical self,
right.
And you just become one with your work. That was heavy.
I think we're going to have a line tomorrow morning for an art workshop with Liz. What kind?
Oh, well, we have fun, right? Everybody, we have great fun in our classes.
We do. We don't want to clean up.
We don't want to clean up. Well, this is one of my favorite drawings. It's small, but I'm going to expand this one into a painting because I like it so very much. Australian Aboriginal artists do what's called X-ray painting, and I'm fascinated by their X-ray paintings. They do these internal drawings and paintings of the inside of animals' bodies. So I frequently find myself doing images inside the dolls, and I love when that happens. And a lot of my drawings, they just kind of grow. You know, they're almost like scribbles or doodles where I'll just start in one part of the page and they just kind of happen all on their own volition.
So in the larger black figure, the little kind of spotlighted
goddess.
Little flower.
It's a goddess
That's
in the middle.
That's another goddess.
Another goddess
wow.
figure. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Robin has said, we have the best time in class. So glad to see your work, Liz, and to hear you talk about it. Thank you, Robin.
Thanks, Robin. Another one of my pandemic drawings. Another goddess in an egg shape. And I do so like the white, empty, the negative space.
I do too.
There.
Margot is commenting.
How often do you find yourself returning to a subject you've created? Well, the dolls, I'm obsessed with them. They've really taken up all my headspace for the last, I want to say maybe 15 or longer years. Maybe more. It was Ibu who, he walked into my studio. I'd never, ever met him before. And he asked this really incredible question. He looked at all my paintings and he said, "Yes, I see that you draw this doll over and over again. Why don't you make dolls?" And that was kind of the beginning of the whole doll culture. And I've been completely absorbed with them ever since.
Was that the beginning of the relationship too?
It was certainly the beginning of our friendship. We became fast friends ever after.
Please keep the comments, questions coming. We love them.
So this is the drawing that is our background.
Oh.
And I think you were asking me about it earlier. I like the movement in this one. I like how the egg shapes are kind of tumbling and the doll figures are kind of falling. So all the shapes are integrated together.
Would you like to read that
Yes.
question? Margot is saying.
So Margot is questioning me further. She says, yes, but I'm talking about recreating a piece like the one just mentioned. Not sure I understand. I've never recreated a piece. I've never repeated.
Just new.
Yeah. Even using, I mean, it is incredible. I use the same symbols, the same shapes over and over again, but I've never created two pictures that are the same. I never, in fact, allow myself to do that. So that was an interesting question, Margot. I hope that answered the question for you. Oh, aha. Okay. Yeah. Sometimes I do sketches that I make paintings of. But here's the thing. When I make it a painting, it's never the same as the drawing. It always changes in the process. And I think that happens frequently for artists. Wouldn't you say that, Bill? Do you make sketches first?
Do you remember I brought a pastel to your class I did at Christmas, and you said, "Oh, that's beautiful. I think you should make that into a painting." And I did, but it wasn't as powerful as the original pastel.
Oh, I think I do remember this. And sometimes that happens, and that's okay,
that's right? You got to be in it to win it.
And you never know until you do it.
That's right.
You never know until you try.
Do you need more water, Liz?
I'm just having an allergy moment here. Excuse me, everybody.
See our mugs? They're available in the
Yeah, aren't they beautiful? Hoboken Talks.
Hoboken Talks. Was that the end of the slides already? Wow.
What would you like to talk about, Bill? Do we have a lot of time remaining?
We have about 15 minutes.
Oh, okay. Ask me anything, Bill.
Well, what I want to ask you is, have I asked you something that I haven't asked you that you would like to mention or share with the audience about yourself, about Hoboken, about your art?
This is an interesting question. Oh, here's somebody. I see what appear to be elongated doll forms in many of your pieces. Some of the forms resemble biological forms, from Jane. Thank you, Jane. Yeah, sometimes I do. I like to elongate the figures. I'm not sure why. I just like how it looks. I did see a lot of sculpture in Africa when I was lucky enough to travel to Africa, where particularly the necks on the figures were exaggerated and very, very long, and I find that incredibly beautiful. So that could be why. Sometimes I exaggerate the length of the neck, the arms and legs. I just like how it looks. But back to your question, Bill. I guess, I absolutely love Hoboken. I've lived here for many, many years. I love the Hudson River. There's so many things about Hoboken that I love. And I'm so incredibly frustrated that we don't have a community art space. I feel it's the one thing that this city lacks, and that would really make Hoboken even greater than it is today. So I'm always looking for people to help me on this particular project, and all ideas are welcome. So I'm looking, it does not have to be finished space, but space where we can exhibit work, where we can teach art, where we can practice art, where we can
get our hands
dirty, where we can have performance space as well as exhibition space. I know we can do it. It can happen. Look, Jersey City is going to have the, what is the famous French museum that's coming? They're going to have a mini Pompidou.
Wow.
We can do something. We need it. And I'm eternally grateful to the Hoboken Historical Museum for having this great gallery space and supporting Hoboken artists. It's been fabulous over the years.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. I'll drink to that.
I'll drink to that.
So I guess, does that answer your question? That is really the one thing that I've been frustrated about over the years. We do have a lot of creative people in Hoboken, Margot, and they have been leaving over the years because we don't have a venue like that.
Mm-hmm.
And people are not feeling supported because we don't have space like that.
I'm just thinking out loud, so forgive me if this is unpolitically correct, but if there was like a large or 2 or 3 or 4 studio space given to us artists at the Leather Newman building, that could be kind of turned into more of a kind of a creative hangout for artists of all sorts.
Well, Newman Leather has been in place that we have discussed doing something like that. So who knows? It may happen in the future. It's going to undergo renovation pretty soon. So I've got all my digits crossed. And yeah, Melissa, you're absolutely right. The gallery has hosted 6 artists per year for 20 years. That's huge. Huge, huge, huge.
And you've had 2 or 3 shows here.
Have I? Wow.
Let me check.
I take your word for it. And Ibu's had shows here, and a lot of people. Some of my students have had shows here, I'm proud to say, including you, Bill. So, yeah.
Artists on the move. Here's a comment from Jack. Hoboken especially deserves a dedicated art space with studios, rehearsal space, performance space, galleries, etc. With each new condo, we lose what was special. With each condo, we lose what was special about this town. So true.
I agree, Jack. I mean, I believe there's space for newness, for progress, but we also need to retain the beautiful character of this city, the historical aesthetic of this town, and we can do that with the artists. Oh, I did. Thank you, Melissa.
1 solo show, 1 group show, and 1 student show.
So I have had 3 shows. I'm proud. I'm walking tall tonight.
Did you want to? You had mentioned about your upcoming show. Is there anything else you want to say about your?
Well, I am. I'm thrilled with the Hoboken Public Library. The fact that we've continued classes
Wonderful.
Throughout the pandemic, and I do want to put in a plug for that class. It's been wonderful. Even on Zoom, we've been doing some terrific stuff. In the month of July, we're celebrating French American and French-speaking artists from around the world. Next week, we're going to look at the work of Matisse, and we're going to do our own work inspired by the work of Matisse. And also, my senior art classes have begun again in person at the Multipurpose Center, and that is open to the public as well.
And that's
they're great fun. That's at the Multipurpose Center at the corner of 2nd and Grand Street, across from Leo's Grandezvous,
and
the greatest restaurant in Hoboken.
Tuesdays
That's on Tuesdays from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m.
Is it just show up and grow up? Everybody's getting a
plug tonight. It's just show up. It's supposedly for senior citizens only, but I allow everybody in. Yeah, I don't restrict by age.
And the library, is that sign up online?
You must register online in order to get access to the Zoom link, yes. And it's really easy to do. You go to the library website and click on the day on their calendar of the class, which is every Wednesday. And then there's a very simple registration form to fill in. and then the library will send you the link via email.
Beautiful. Liz, I think we've reached an end.
Fabulous talking to you, Bill. You are a terrific interviewer. Thank you for putting me at ease. I felt like we were just chatting in my kitchen.
Which we sometimes have.
Which we sometimes do. And we can now.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us.
And I'm Bill Curran, your host, your Museum Associate. Again, Liz Cohen.
Ndoye.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Next week, we will have our guest, Father Vincent Fucinato. After that, Valerie Huffnagel.
And can I say? And
also, yes.
Soon, Ibu Ndoye will be here.
You will be interviewing him.
I will interview him.
Fantastic.
It's going to be so fun.
Remember, Hoboken Talks every Thursday at 7 to 8 on our YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook channel. Also, we would like to mention our people who have donated to the museum in memory of Donald Shackett. We thank you very much for your donation to the museum. And we also have thanks to the New Jersey Historic Commission for our recent grant and helping us to upgrade some of our Hoboken Talks technology. We thank you very much, New Jersey Historical Commission. And of course, last but not least, we thank Applied Development Company for their generous support through the years. Applied provides us with the museum space and supports us in many other ways. Don't forget, if you'd like to watch this episode as soon as we get off because it was so good, please visit our YouTube channel and plug in Hoboken Talks, and you can see this one or 24 others. Tonight was our 25th anniversary, 25th episode, so congratulations to all. And I just want to put a plug in for Rand Hoppy, who runs this whole thing, lights, camera, action, video, sound. Thank you very much, Rand, for making this a huge success. And just to close, the museum is closed technically on the inside through August 1st, when we'll reopen with a new show. We're getting ready for a new show, The Avenue, a history of Washington Street. But please join us during museum normal hours in the walkway, where we have ping pong, art classes, ballerina classes, dance class, some kind of dance class. I'm sorry, I'm missing out on the word. And as you can see here, the two ping pong pros. If you need something from the gift shop, give us a holler on the door. And also the fire department museum is open regularly, only on Saturdays and Sundays, 12 to 5. So a lot's going on, even though the main museum door is somewhat closed. But we thank you all for your donation, and we'll see you next week. Thank you so much, everybody.